Greetings, fellow Gothamites. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And we're back to talk about episode 13 of season 4 of Fox's retelling of the Dark Knight mythology, entitled A Beautiful Darkness. So join us as we venture into Batman's birthplace.
And explore Gotham.
But most importantly, Dragon, what are we here to do?
We're talking about Ivy. Oh my god.
Ivy is just so cool, right?
Yeah, I mean, she's awesome, man. And, she's
God.
she's so pretty. And, I can imagine her, having coffee with Vera Farmiga. She's so adorable. Look at her.
Ivy needs her own line of Barbie dolls. Ivy should just replace Barbie. She should become the American icon that all girls should aspire to be, Dragon.
Forget the Sirens Club. Let's just talk about Ivy's place.
All right. So, folks, if you can't tell, we're rather amused by the mind control plot line.
Yes. So, boy, oh boy, episode 13 is a great one, isn't it?
It's a lot of fun, Dragon. It's a lot of fun. I mean, there are some elements of it that are rather silly.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But, I think that's the fun of it. I think this episode kind of lives up to the potential of, the 60s Batman, but done in the dark Gothic style.
This episode does lay a lot of good plot pipe for us. It gets us to a lot of, kind of big Gotham stuff we've been waiting for, in a way, so...
Yeah, this is a big one in that regard. It's definitely kind of in a lot of ways, Dragon, to coin our terminology that we like to pick up for the Marvel Netflix that hasn't really panned out as of late. It's kind of the episode 8.
It definitely feels like an attempt at an episode. It definitely feels like this is them kind of always
you watch Daredevil and Jessica Jones and Daredevil season 2, you'll know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, just the recurring there's always an episode that is a biggie, or there's a huge reveal. There's there's either a huge reveal, or most notably it's an episode where everything clicks. It's the most wonderful episode ever. So I'm just saying, episode when we coin that means
now I feel like it doesn't even usually. It isn't usually episode 8, but episode 8 has still stuck around. It's the honorary title.
Yeah, it used to be a consistent thing that we could track. It usually was episode 8, or interchangeable with 8 and 9. There's always been kind of that sort of thing. And then Luke Cage came around, and kind of started to slowly traverse it. So then it was 7 and 8. Went from 8 and 9 to 7 and 8, and now it's when Iron Fist struck, and we just kind of everything just kind of went kind of wild. And then we have an 8-episode series. The episode 8's kind of lost its colloquialism at this point. So, yeah.
But this is right in the middle of the Gotham season, so it's kind of got the same sort of placement.
Yeah.
Dragon, let me tell you right off the bat, the one thing that bothers me. I am a big fan of the Ivy mind control stuff, and it's a lot of fun. I hope that Ivy in herself isn't the big villain that we're going to get for the rest of the season. I hope there's other stuff that we're going to get into.
Well, believe me, I don't think Ivy's going to be our big villain. However, I do think she might give us kind of a neat, there's potential that she could give us a good kind of zero. Sorry, I don't want to spoil anything. I'm just trying to kind of phrase this here. We could get a good setting for the climax of this season thanks to Ivy. If they kind of pull from some certain early Batman kind of comics, like the Scott Snyder Batman Zero Year. In that book, Riddler is our big force in that book. He's our big, Scott Snyder's take on the Riddler. And what we have there, it's a very, let's just say, a very earthy Gotham, a very almost prehistoric Gotham. And I'm just saying, Ivy, messing around with Gotham could get us to a look of something like that. So it'd be kind of neat.
But let's be honest here. Ivy's just so awesome.
Yeah, only Ivy could get us to a Scott Snyder homage.
All right.
Anyway, in all seriousness, we'll get to that. But let's speak. Well, Ivy starts off the episode. Let's talk about her. So,
wow.
So Ivy and Selena, they're going on kind of a girls' night crime spree. Going to rich people's houses, as you do. And essentially what they're doing is they're using Ivy's pheromone. Again, now we've kind of went from uber plant lady, but we're going from kind of and again, I still like that we're kind of building this, but I do feel it's a little inconsistent. And we went from last episode where she was kind of really more in tune with plant than lady. And now we're kind of going back to what I like, which is it's the woman who's very plant obsessed and using that to her advantage. So regardless, it's still we're going in a direction of kind of
eco warrior, if you will.
What?
The twisted eco warrior.
Yes, yes, and I always, it's still, I like that arc though. Just seeing her kind of
Captain
go from,
Planet gone bad. The Don Cheadle Captain Planet Dragon.
yes, yes, I still like that idea of seeing her go from kind of the eco terrorist to kind of becoming, I'm more plant than woman.
Mm-hmm.
So we're kind of still kind of laying pipe there. She used like a little perfume, and basically to use the shorthand here is to kill, grave, and control rich people's houses. Like, you want to invite us in? Come in. It's very much
What a
like kill.
charming young lady.
Yeah, and they basically, it turns people into Ivy's fan club when it uses this stuff on her. And the idea is they've been going to a few houses and robbing them easy. But as we learn in this opening, Ivy has a secret, unsettling agenda in picking her houses. And Selena's in the other room, kind of looting the place. As Ivy,
I like how convincing she is to Selena of like, oh yeah, we're just here to have a girls' night.
and again, it is convincing where we left off, where like she kind of does the kind of the Harley and Ivy thing, where she kind of immunizes kind of Selena, saying like, "Hey, I could kill you, but I'm not because we're friends, and let's just let's just kind of do what we did before. But now I'm going to look out for you. It'll be fun."
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Selena's just like, it's going out with her old buddy and just doing what she does best in Gotham, steal. So we have Roland Charles, and a different Roland, not Roland Daggett, but Roland Charles, who works for Wayne Enterprises, and this house has been selected so she could interrogate this guy. And it does bother me a little, and it's nothing that I can really, nothing to really take away against the episode. It's just that we're kind of missing a little something here. I don't know why she's suddenly turning her attention to Wayne Enterprises. Just kind of like we kind of lost like there's like some missing stuff in between episodes there.
Yeah, the
No.
Wayne Enterprises. I mean, I feel like it's just very much heavy-handed in dialogue. Like, ooh, Wayne Enterprises is connected to it, therefore Wayne Enterprises the big bad. Ooh,
And again, it feels very kind of like Batman Robin, where literally in that movie, Uma Thurman, she sees like
I'm afraid you'll have to die. Ah!
she sees she sees the test tube with W Wayne Enterprises labeled on, and then she's targeting Wayne Enterprises from that point. It could have just been he bought the test tube from
Dragon,
there.
I know exactly what it is. I can put the nail right on the head with this. You know what it is?
What?
Most of Gotham is 60s Batman, but done in a really dark style. This is Batman and Robin done in a really dark style.
I can see a bit of that. And you're right. Yeah, I mean, in terms of the plotting here, there's definitely a bit of that. Yeah.
And I like Batman and Robin as a bad movie, Dragon. I stick up for it. This is a so bad it's good experience.
Right. So what Ivy does here, getting kind of dark here. So she's grilling this guy about what Wayne Enterprise is up to, and she kind of learns about these experiments on plants, and she kind of gets a little tidbit of information. So as Selena walks in, she sees Ivy do something really horrific. As again, everyone's been told to like kind of stay put and like stay in their seats around the dinner table. This Roland Charles and his wife and I believe two daughters, like his two kids, and Ivy poisons, basically does like the little, the way she's killing people these days. She scratches the neck, and the poison will take place and kind of essentially give us that cool long Halloween Tim Sale look of when people have, their corpses are like growing poison ivy. And essentially that's what she does to the guy. She poisons and kills him in front of his family.
You know what the most horrifying effect of this thing is the sound design.
Well, for me, I loved like the little like you could see the minute she like scratches, and the fact that it's a simple scratch is also horrifying. She just scratches them, and you can see like the blood instantly turns green, then starts to kind of like the colorization is really horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see. So, meanwhile,
Selena walks in, and this is all happening to Selena's horror because she actually has a heart.
of course. Meanwhile, at the GCPD, Chaz Carmichael is he's calling Jim over to try to pull some Sophia Falcone strings. He's saying, I'm important. Like, hey, Captain Gordon. Just gets him over there, and he's basically saying, hey, I was told. Like, don't worry, I won't say anything. But I was told by the big boss to ask you so I get an early release. And Jim, we've alluded to this in the previous episode, like him ducking Sophia's calls. Jim is really uncomfortable with the arrangement, and the guilt is weighing on him that he's made this deal with the devil, with Sophia Falcone and the whole.
Falcone is like one of Jim's biggest mess ups in the whole series, I think.
And again, it's a screw up that again was for a noble purpose, and again has helped the GCPD and morale and everything. But again, built on a lie, very much kind of a Nolan-esque kind of idea of like
Yeah,
get,
kind of
achieve.
Dark Knight Rises done a little bit better because they have more time to flesh it out.
Eh, I mean, again, it was started in Dark Knight too. So I mean, the idea still kind of presumes from kind of the,
Mm.
Anyway, so Jim's really not happy, and like now these all the Sophia kind of stuff is definitely boiling to the surface with him, and it's that age old kind of Bullock's wisdom. I like that Bullock's wisdom is permeating through this. So by the next time we see him, they'll definitely kind of catch up with all this in story. That there's always a catch in Gotham. That Jim can't succeed. It's kind of the cosmic joke of the show. We know that Jim Gordon has to fail in this show. By the ending of this show, whenever we wrap it up, Jim Gordon is doomed for failure. It's kind of a Greek tragedy that way, that Jim Gordon can't succeed or there's no Batman. So that's kind of what we're dealing with this situation. Okay, he's ascended the captain. By the time he ascends the commissioner, or even if he still remains captain, there's definitely going to be some definite need for someone to kind of clean the system and kind of get crime under control in Gotham.
Yeah, right. So at the time, it's kind of like a calm before the storm in a way.
Yeah, and definitely you can see the storm clouds definitely kind of forming for like the big kind of downpour.
Hmm.
Right. So Gordon's called to the crime scene of the previous scene we just saw. We have Lucius Fox on the scene.
Lucius has been really entertaining these past couple episodes.
I love Chris Chalk in this episode. He's so good.
Yeah, I mean, he plays the character so well. He just really inhabits it.
Yeah. So let's see. We learn. Okay, so we're at the crime scene now, and he's noting that okay, this guy worked for the research and development biotech division of Wayne Enterprises, which is why he had the fancy case and why he had some information. And again, Lucius recognizes the guy, so he kind of gives that information. And it's another plant toxin kill, like before, like it was on the coroner's table in the last episode. And he notes, and this is an important detail for the episode, he notes that there's a psychedelic hallucination, then death. Essentially, that's how it works. You hallucinate, then you die. And Ivy took the man's briefcase,
Hmm.
implying she took something that related to Wayne Enterprises. However, Lucius withholds the specifics of that. He lies and he calls Bruce Wayne, warning Bruce that he has the case. So again, Lucius is keeping a secret here, and he just plays off like, oh, the case was nothing. She's kind of basically says not something uber important. Just okay, she's targeting Wayne Enterprise employees.
All right. So meanwhile, we have Selina freaking out at Ivy.
And Ivy discovers Project M.
Project M. Dun dun dun.
And the next, so we definitely learn. This is a little issue I have with the episode. I think it's really I think
Project M is just like a massive Deus Ex Machina.
no, that's not the problem. The problem is, I mean, it's very apparent. It should be very apparent to Jim and especially to Selina in this scene that Bruce Wayne's the next target. And Selina just kind of leaves Selina taking issue with Ivy killing
Selina's
people.
literally spelling out like all actions would have to be approved by Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, and Selina, she just kind of doesn't factor. I know she's a little peeved at Bruce, but at the same time, it's like, hey, he's gonna get killed, and we know she definitely has a soft spot for the guy. So she just, she leaves Ivy to her shrubs. Really not like there's no alarm at all with the fact that it's Wayne Enterprises, therefore Bruce Wayne, kind of involved there, and nothing. So for me, if I again, it's not a huge issue, but that's definitely the most apparent issue for me with this episode. That really no one considers that Bruce Wayne's gonna be at the top of the food chain, or someone to go to on this. Anyway, so Ivy, she dons her very famous, and again, you saw the episode, Tiki, from Pretty Poison. I'm not saying they directly got it from that episode. I was just saying it's one of Ivy's signatures.
It is very visually striking. Yes, it very much leaps off the screen in that way.
The old poison lipstick gag.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Bruce Wayne, we're at Wayne Manor, and we have good kind of speedy plotting on this. I will give it that. We kind of go, kind of track Ivy on this.
Dragon, I have a talking parrot myself who's outside my window, in my backyard, and so I can relate to this. He has a few catchphrases like uh-oh and hello, uh-oh and hello being the main ones. So we have pour me another shot,
Yeah, so Bruce awakens to a
Party
random.
time. Gonna
Yeah, so
throw up. Gonna throw up. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Bruce awakens to a random talking bird. Now, I think, honestly, the reason I think that's in here, and I don't know if they're going to do anything with it down the line, but at least what I took away from it here is that it's a hint of the craziness to come in this episode. I think that's
Oh,
the
I
pure.
absolutely think so too. It's kind of like, you know what? This episode might be the Gotham equivalent of The Hangover.
Well, I mean, we know what it's directly a reference to, and I love this. I love this notion that we're going to be directly referencing Jim Gordon's kind of hallucinogenic episode with the Mad Hatter.
Sure, sure.
But I love that we're directly referencing that in this episode, doing another episode like that. And you know how much I love that episode, and it's also something that ever since my Gotham pitch for the holidays for the Christmas special we did for Christmas in July with Gotham, which I think was Christmas in July, might have been seasonal shenanigans, whichever. Um, I love a good dream sequence. I love a good kind of like nightmare sequence, and we get plenty of those with these hallucination episodes, and I love getting those in Gotham. So,
And of course, for me, it kind of comes to mind my favorite element of Court of Owls, which is the labyrinth sequence. Which, the labyrinth dragon, that might be one of the most visually striking comic book segments I've ever seen. So,
oh, certainly. So Ivy arrives to speak, essentially to speak for the plant. She's kind of pulling a Lorax here.
he's absolutely pulling a Lorax, and I love it.
It's kind of, it makes sense with Ivy, and again, from the other episode, I like that she just had that great moment where we see how in tune she is, and she had a line that kind of put the blame on the city and kind of man, where she says, "It's killing you." And we kind of have that moment here carried over. Okay, she's speaking for the plants. She's defending the plants, which is kind of what Ivy does, and we're doing it kind of a Lorax style.
The writers would have had the balls to just say that she speaks for the trees.
So she's asking Bruce about Project M, and of course, we're going to learn later on what the big secret behind Project M is, and why Bruce was kind of the guy who okayed this project. And I was wondering what the heck Project M is, and I was thinking, like, man, it might be a little convenient or cliche, but no, the Project M definitely has like a sensible, Bruce Wayne connect, and we'll get there. So he recognizes it's Ivy after she says "boy billionaire" or like something along those. Billionaire boy, yes. After she says that, because he remembers that Ivy kind of called him that a couple times, and when she was played by the first actress.
By the first actress, yeah, the first out of 3.
Yep. Then we have the iconic kiss again, from the various Batman stories, the famous kind of poison kiss from Poison Ivy. That's cool, and Bruce is in her power.
Ivy, you're so beautiful.
Okay, meanwhile, a lot of love and a lot of lovey-doveyness. Let's go to some horror.
I've been thinking long and hard about the Oswald Cobblepot literary odyssey. Do you have a good connection here? Do you have a good literary reference that we can use with the Jerome versus Oswald thing?
It definitely it's reminiscent of a few works. I'm just trying to think of if it really fits into one, because I mean, honestly, a part of it feels like Oliver Twist, but I know it's not Oliver Twist. It's like there's some. I'm trying to think of there's got to be something like a. It's not Shawshank. Obviously, it's not Shawshank. But there's got to be some. Well, I know what Batman book it's referencing, but again, I'm looking for literary. I'm kind of drawing a blank on it. But someone being tortured by another prisoner. This feels very literary. I know there's a book somewhere that definitely connects to that. I don't know.
I've been raking my mind all week, Dragon. I can't figure it out.
Well, I know what we kind of did this a little bit with Edward Nygma when he was in Arkham before, but we're definitely doing it here with the Penguin. There was a story in the comics called Arkham Asylum Living Hell. It was a great book. It was about you have a mobster who basically really set up kind of.
Oh, I've read that book. Yeah.
Very simply, just set up the idea that in Gotham, it's kind of the Batman Begins idea, but it was done before Batman Begins. Where if you're a mobster and you claim to be crazy, the judge will have no mercy for it. He says, "Okay, you want to be crazy, by all means, buddy," and he sends him to Arkham. And he basically it's a rude awakening for a sane mobster who goes crazy and becomes like a supervillain in Arkham. That's kind of what it's like a horrific experience in Arkham. That's kind of what the gist of that story is, and we kind of see
that's a really good one-off.
It is. I'm not crazy about the magic in that book. We have kind of issue 4, like when we get to towards the tail.
The psychology of it.
It's a beautiful idea, and that's the thing. Only until we get to that weird magic section, everything's great. So
Mhm.
it's the Humpty Dumpty. He's good. He's in it. He got a really lovely story there. Anyway, so point is, so Penguin is miserable in Arkham, and that's again what they're pulling from a lot of living hell in there. So Penguin's miserable, and he's greeted by Jerome, and I love the Joker card
Honestly,
moment.
Gregan, if this episode references anything, it references Oz.
Ah, there you go. There's definitely some. Yeah, there's some Oz in there. Yeah.
I mean, I'm not talking like the Wizard of Oz. I'm talking like the prison drama Oz.
Well, yes, yes. I mean, there's also, I mean, look, the other thing is we kind of referenced it already. Though. There's more one flew. There's definitely some one flew of the cuckoo's nest with all the electric, with all the electroshock stuff. So we
I
basically
feel like
work.
every time we go to Arkham, it's shades of Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, that's just an easy pool.
I'm saying directly with like the electroshock therapy plot lines, definitely some of that. But I mean, yeah. Okay. So Jerome introducing with the Joker card, he kind of flips it at the end. It's a good intro for him, but also I really think they're building something with Jerome with this because I've heard some rumors that we're gonna like kind of get closer and closer to the one of the great ideas with Jerome is he's a proto Joker who again could inspire the real Joker. I hear we might be doing some stuff with that.
I kind of feel like they're building to Arkham City with Jerome, but maybe that's just being a naive, like, would-be comic fan.
Well, we'll see. I'm just saying. I hear they're. I have a feeling. I have a gut feeling we're going to do something big with that whole idea with the proto Joker this season. I think we're finally going to pay that off in a big way. So we'll see. Because we know we're going to get him for a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, a little Joker card introduction. And by the way, let's discussing the look of Jerome. He again he has his face back on. And his hair, I love the look of Jerome in Arkham. Like later on, we're going to see him with the suspenders. He now has the white gloves, and he's got his face has been reattached. It looks all creepy and stuff. My favorite element of it that is reminiscent of the next story from Scott Snyder, Endgame, the big sequel to Death of the Family. Death of the Family, Joker loves Batman, and Endgame he hates Batman. He's coming for revenge.
Right, right.
And the first one was all about him cutting off his face. And Endgame has a Joker who's very scary. He has kind of his face is kind of scarred up, like we saw in that one Suicide Squad trailer. And the thing that sticks out to me most is that his hairstyle is like really kind of like a tuft of hair on top. It's like really kind of shaved on the sides and like tuft of hair. So they're definitely pulling some Endgame with the look of Jerome. So I love whenever we pull some deep Scott Snyder stuff with Joker, with Jerome, but in preparation for the Joker. Anyway, so Jerome, we learn, is a fan of Penguin's brand of crazy.
Yeah, except for one problem.
He's boring now.
Yep, he's boring, and we can't have boring, can we, Dragon?
Oh no, and again, speaking of Death of,
reminds me of the Vern Schillinger plotline in Oz. It's just like, Schillinger just kind of views Beecher as just kind of a nuisance in the same way that Jerome does with Cobblepot.
So Penguin, Jerome, we see he definitely has like control and lay of the land, which is classic kind of Arkham game Joker, just kind of Joker period. Like Joker always he can escape Arkham anytime he wants. That's the idea. But Joker is usually planning something. He's usually the cheekiest idea. I think that when the Joker is written at his best, sometimes we do two things, and one of the things we kind of allude to here is that Arkham Asylum is Joker's Batcave. And that's his home away from home. That's where he goes when that's for him. That's home. It's just he has his own
zone.
His
comfort zone.
Yes, exactly. His comfort zone. Yes.
Yeah.
And the other thing we'll get to in a moment here. So he's interrogating Oswald here. He wants to know what's going on, and Oswald just kind of like tells him. And again, Cameron Monaghan, I love him as Jerome. I still do. I've always loved him.
Absolutely, at his prime in this episode. Episode. I mean, I think he's really just grown into the character. I mean, honestly, Dragon, to the point where I don't really want to see the proto Joker thing. Like, to me, this is my Gotham Joker.
Well, I'm saying he is proto Joker. It's a question if we're going to get actual Joker. That's the.
Well, that's to me. I don't want to see actual Joker. Like,
yeah.
Like Jerome. It's like he is kind of the definitive Joker for me on this show.
Yeah. Yeah, and let's see. So Penguin, he's basically he exposits. He's kind of keeping a low profile to secure Martine's safety with Sophia Falcone. Basically, Victor Zsasz knows where Martine is, and of course, Victor Zsasz works for Sophia, so he can't risk anything happening to the kid. So he's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, even if he wanted to break out.
Mm.
And this just instantly bores Jerome, like, just like, oh, sob story. It's like, again, Jerome, he's waiting for like for some funds, some big stuff to pop up before he escapes. But it's just like, man, the guy I'm banking all my hopes on here, he's bored me to tears. And he
The last
warns
person who bored me was Dietrich over here.
Dietrich.
Dietrich.
Yeah.
Dietrich.
Yeah.
Dietrich.
Yeah, you got it.
Okay. Sorry.
And Dietrich, we
He helped me sneak into a shock therapy session, and I gotta drag in this line. I don't know. I'm not 100%.
Okay, look, let me tell you what I like about us before we get into that. So I love that it's so horrifying that Jerome, he snuck into to an inmate getting shock therapy. He basically overcooked him,
and now he pees himself.
He's a sad mess, and yeah, look, with the bathroom humor, I'll say this. Okay, I'm not crazy about it.
I'm not crazy about them being so direct with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, look, you're right. Now I'll say this much: we do pay this off in a way. I respect how we pay this off, though. I'll give it that. I respect how we pay it off. It's not, again, I'm not like patting on the back or anything, but it's a cheap gag, but at least we do something with it. I'll give it. I like that we do something with this, and don't just like let it like, oh man, it's all horrific and gross. Like, no, there is a bit of a gag attached to that later on.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh yes, and now here's the bit I really love, and this is the big Scott Snyder of it all with Jerome here. I love this, and it's pulling from again Death of the Family, where Jerome wants to cure Penguin. He wants to bring Oswald back to being his old self. And while he's doing this, he's taking his jello, and I love that he's taking his jello. So here's the thing: this is the twisted kind of Paul Dini / very much Scott Snyder-esque kind of Joker, like a Joker who has an idea to help people. It's like
the most fascinating villains are the ones who think they're being the good guys.
Exactly. It's like the Death of the Family Joker who, like, I want to serve the Bat King. I want to show, you've gotten to a funk being helped out by all these people. I'm going to show you, you don't need these guys. It just needs to be you and me, mano a mano. You, me, your Rose. That's what defines you. You're the Bat King of Gotham. I deliver all the bad news to you. That sort of thing. Or like a Joker's favorite thing where Joker becomes fixated on like this one guy, and like he'll bring him back and act all chummy with him because he's his little hobby. So it's very much just kind of that Dini Snyder thing. I love it when we do stuff like that. This is great.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the cosmic joke with all this like pairing of Jerome and Oswald finally, because we've been building to this a while in Gotham ever since season 2. I love that. I think it sounds like Jerome's endgame is he's aching for a Scooby-Doo team up with the Penguin.
God.
Seriously.
It kind of harkens back to the days when Penguin and Joker or Penguin and Riddler were first starting to get to know each other.
Yeah. And again, this, and plus the factor in kind of the prison stripes and everything is reminiscent of the old skeleton costumes from that Scooby-Doo crossover. It's the famous back in the olden days. It was Joker and Penguin teaming up, and we're kind of homaging that here with this big story. It's kind of fun.
Oh man.
Okay, so Ivy.
I love to think that Jerome is somehow like a genie style omniscient character who somehow knows about the Scooby-Doo crossover.
Well, again, we've had moments with the Joker in comics where he can break the fourth wall, so I wouldn't rule it out.
That's what I'm saying. Anyways.
Okay,
Jerome
Ivy.
For some stuff. All right.
Ivy blames Bruce. Ivy blames Bruce for Project M kind of threatening the threatening plant life. She learns what it is.
I'm so sorry, Ivy. I would never want to upset you.
What Ivy does to Bruce in return for this whole project, then which she misunderstands. He basically tells her what it is, probably without explaining all the ins and outs of it. And I think that's why she's still misunderstanding what he's doing here. Because later on she learns exactly what Project M is. But basically she cuts him in a way, and she cuts him. It might be like the speed of the cut. Maybe that's what does it this way. I don't know how she controls it, but she's a chemist. She's kind of like a plant expert, so botanist. So she basically does this effect. She basically puts him in the Jim Gordon situation with the Mad Hatter's kind of toxin from last season, where she she gives him the slow death cut, which essentially means he's going to be hallucinating as he's dying, and it's going to be a long, drawn out process. It's going to be like mess with his head before he dies. Yeah. Let's see. So I will say this. I mean, he doesn't really run the. Initially, I was thinking, he doesn't really run the company, but I mean, he did commission the project, so I guess Bruce would be a logical target for Ivy. Because initially, I was just thinking she was like, why would she? Why she have it against Bruce Wayne? It's probably like the higher ups, but I don't know. Rewatch is definitely Bruce did commission this, so it is on him.
Again, it's kind of like a cheap little like, all right, like they wrote a little line into the dialogue to explain it, and it's easy to miss.
Yeah. So he has this great line that again is akin to what we're going to do with Bruce character wise in this episode, where she says, "I'm sorry I won't be here to see you bloom." Got character blooming from Bruce Wayne to Batman. Yeah,
It's like ironically enough, Ivy kind of like gives him an assist in terms of helping him along in his path, which is, of course, an unexpected side effect of this poisoning that we'll get into as we go along here.
it is cool, and again, I just want to make clear, I'm very positive on this whole this hallucinatory journey, because one, again, the directions. It's always fun when we do that sort of thing, but again, it's something that on a character level bonds him with Jim Gordon a little bit, and it's something that again kind of gets us some like big imagery and kind of fast forwards our plot a little in a way that kind of still fits into our main story. So I don't know how everyone else feels about it, but I like the hallucination angle of it all.
All right, so we start off with a horrifying set piece here with the face getting sliced off like immediately.
Yeah, by Dr. Green Thumb.
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Green Thumb, of course, is Ra's al Ghul.
I'm afraid you'll have to die.
Not John Glover. Okay, in all seriousness, though, so there's a lot of great stuff to unpack with the dream stuff and the hallucination stuff. So let's just real quick here. So Ra's is he's Dr. Green Thumb, having a great time, by the way. And I love that he's cutting the face off with the knife that was used to kill him. So I love that we're seeing Bruce's guilt kind of played out psychologically. I love the psychology that's applied to this dream. We all know where all this is coming from. So he cuts Bruce's face off, which I imagine is akin to the very big, very dramatic encounter he had with Jerome last season, where Jerome had his face cut off. So we have some great subconscious symbolism going on here with the face removal, Bruce not being able to recognize himself, and again, being done with the knife that he killed someone with. And the big thing, the reason I think I love this is in an episode with Jerome in it. So I love that we're not directly correlating it, but it's definitely the breadcrumbs are there. That the big lesson that Bruce learned with Jerome is not to kill people. He made the big no-killing vow at the end of that Jerome face-off. So that's why, again, we're definitely leading a great path here with all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's see. So again, so we see. Oh, we have this great effect of Bruce missing it, really gruesomely remove his face, and we have that great effect of David Mazouz missing his face.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like right off the bat, they're not wasting any time. They're just getting to the horrific imagery, and it's I kind of feel like they're getting like the horrific stuff off the bat, so we can have fun with the dream sequences later on.
Sure, and yeah, I love that with him missing. I think we did the missing a face thing the best we could, because he's not. All the horrificness was kind of off screen, like cutting through the face and removing it, but. Initially we shy away from showing it. The point is, it works a lot better than when we removed Jerome's face before, when he was, like on the table, and it looks like he just had red paint on his face initially.
Right.
It's like here we just have it's all dreamlike, and like it's a gaping hole that he can still speak from. That's horrific without being bloody, and I appreciate that.
It's meanwhile, kind of Twilight Zone-esque.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it is Twilight Zone-esque. So, and of course, in the promos, I was very much thinking it was going to be like a Tommy. It's like a vague Hush homage with like the missing face, the whole like.
Right. That's what everyone thought. Sure.
There are two Hush homages in this, one removing the face and the other image we have coming up. So anyway, Jim, meanwhile, he's visiting his old pal Barbara.
Yay!
So again, I'm loving the interaction now between Jim and Babs. I really am. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of like old.
We'd be saying that in season 2, folks.
I know. It's very it's very kind of like kind of Casablanca, or like kind of old detective-esque. It's like chasing down a lead from the club owner. It feels just very very noir-esque. I love it. He's visiting Barbara to ask if she's seen Selena. And again, we're definitely building rapport between these two. And I got to tell you, I, I, I got to tell you, I could see on Barbara's side. I don't know if they're directly hinting at this, but I think I could see a romance on the deluded Barbara side. From Barbara's point of view, I could see her maybe trying to have a relationship with Jim. I'm not saying it's going to go anywhere, but I could see some stuff coming.
Like season 2 and season 3, it's like we're actually like, oh, okay, I can see that and I can buy it. And you know what? If it happened, then I wouldn't be all that upset about it.
Like, I could see us going down a really wonky path that, believe it or not, this is going to sound insane. I warn you. There is a bizarre path of going down this route that we could end up with, like a Barbara Gordon that could have become Batgirl in the future.
I could see it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, if there was a one-night stand between these two, well, if again, even for some reason, if there was a one-night stand, again, years later, there could be a Barbara. We do like a reverse kind of the James Jr. subplot from the comics, where we have instead of questioning if she's going crazy or not, we just have she's trying to live down her mother's lunacy, and hence the name change.
Mm-hmm. Right,
anyway,
right.
So again, that's just this pipeline stuff. Anyway, so she's asking where Selena is, but Barbara's not alone. He has the boss lady there. The boss lady being the big boss of it all, Sophia Falcone.
Instantly just starts blackmailing him.
Oh yeah, she's asking about the agreement and everything, and she's reminding that, hey, that's one of my lieutenants in there. You gotta let him out. And she reminds that she has power with the pig blackmail. And I love that Jim points out that, hey, if you bring me down, we both go down. You lose all your power on the outside here too. And she recognizes the bluff, and I love how she recognizes the bluff there, and we're going to see what she's going to do with that at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, Jim kind of on the way out, he spots Selena, and we have this hilarious moment with Barbara. Do you have it?
Yes, I do.
What happens?
Oh, hey, Jim, I found Selena. She went that way.
Yeah, Aaron Richards again, folks. It's material. It's always material. Again, Barbara just had very little to no material in the beginning, and then we're kind of going back and forth in season 2. Now I think we hit a stride with her. Now she's
season 3 onward. Barbara has been pretty much like one of the most consistent characters on the show, which is really weird to
I know
retrospect. But
we've gone around the bend on it, folks. I don't know what to tell you. We're in crazy town. All right, so Jim's chasing down Selena. Yes, okay, so I guess getting back to Arkham.
Mm-hmm.
Penguin is abducted by the inmates. Very kind of skull. Is it Skull and Bones? Like you're in your bed, you get beaten by the oranges, or is that something else?
I don't really know what you're talking about with the oranges.
Yeah, like the soap or oranges. I think. Okay, never mind. Sorry, obscure reference. So, Penguin's abducted.
Reference I know about with oranges is The Godfather.
Well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Anyway, so Penguin is abducted by the inmates, and he's brought to entertain Jerome. And again, we definitely see Jerome runs Arkham. We see the guards do beckon to him as well, like they're opening the Penguin's cell.
Mm-hmm.
So then we have, and again, I like that again in Jerome's pursuit to cure the Penguin, he calls it the laughing cure, and we have the inmates like chanting, "Make him laugh! Make him laugh!" It's really creepy and cool.
I love how Jerome has a pet name for Penguin too.
Do you wonder if he does?
I love that he does. I believe it's Pengy.
Oh, of course, yeah. That's what it's always been. Yeah, it's always been in the comics too. It's just Pengy.
Just fits in so well in this show.
Well, they has like
Penny Pengy. I'm gonna cure you of this sad sack moping routine.
Yeah. I love that he has like the popcorn in hand. He's got like the makeshift stage set up and everything, like it's American Idol or something. And it's a weird, it's such a weird choice, but it's but creepy at the same time. Penguin being forced to be a clown. Like him basically forced into a clown act, and basically he's kind of hog-tied, almost like a farm animal.
The whole point is to bring him down to Jerome's level, and that's like the what Jerome's intending to do here. So I think the symbolism is very on point, and you're right, it is pretty unsettling.
Yeah, I love Jerome as the director here, saying in your own time. And then, of course, after we have kind of essentially Penguin he's like a kid. There's like a kid at a school play who's forgot his lines. Just he kind of breaks down crying. He's like Ed Bighead from His Modern Life in the school play. He's he's just it's like
You have no idea the literary odyssey I've been on.
And Cameron Monaghan cracks me up in this moment where he just like I can see the pain on his face. And he's just these again. I love everything about what we're doing with Jerome here. Again, the look, the suspenders, like the suspenders, such like a cocksure thing with him. I love it. He's using his body just fantastically here and like his motions and everything. That's going to come in handy later on. Believe me. Where he's like, oh, you can see him physically in pain and embarrassed for the Penguin. It's like, oh, cut.
God.
So again, Jerome needs Penguin back to escape because we're gonna learn he's kind of putting together a little scheme, and fun. He needs him to escape, and it's he thinks it's funny to see him become insane. He wants to turn Penguin insane, get him back to his insane roots.
Mm-hmm.
So he tells Penguin, he gives him a bit of advice. You're in Oswald. You're in a prison up here, pointing to his head. I'm offering you the key. I'm offering you freedom. So again, there's definitely with all of this and that notion of like driving him insane. Again, that's all Arkham Asylum, Living Hell influence in there. Only what if like the Joker-esque figure was driving the story there, and then Penguin is savagely beaten until he kind of gets it into his system.
I like how in Jerome's mind he's like, I'm not mad, Oswald. I'm just disappointed. I'm playing the tough but fair father figure in this relationship.
Hey, you're right. All right. So then we have this is a fun interaction. We don't get that often, but I remember we had more in the early seasons. Jim and Selena they kind of forge a team up to stop Ivy.
Yeah.
And we have a really funny scene that comes from it coming up momentarily. So he so basically, she she warns of the Wayne Enterprise, target, and basically they're going to be heading down to the GCP. They're kind of forging a team. We got to
use the excuse I was only there to rob the place, and Jim's like, yeah, whatever, that's fine, that's cool with me.
Yeah. All right, so the point is they're teaming up to take down Ivy. Meanwhile, cutting to Ivy. Ivy uses the Pharaoh. Again, mention of Wayne Enterprise. We cut to former employee of Wayne Enterprises, Lucius Fox, in his in his lab. He is Ivy. Ivy uses the pheromone on Lucius, kind of her purple man pheromone, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And Lucius, again, smart. I love this. Lucius, as he's being kind of taken control, he puts the recorder on to leave a kind of a trail for Jim Gordon. That's good. And then we have one of the hysterical things, one of the funniest things in the episode. We have Love Struck Lucius. To me, Love Struck Lucius is gold. I just love the big old smile Chris Chalk has. It says, it just says, "Oh, Ivy, you're so pretty." It says, "Oh." I'm sorry. It's so funny. It's just he's so It's Chris Chalk with this big goofy love struck smile, and he's so loving. All of his loving comments to Ivy crack me up. We're gonna have a little sequence of competitors, but I still think he wins.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
All right, let's see. So we're back in the dream.
Oh boy.
So
Bruce, here we go.
So Bruce is sporting some Hush, a very very direct homage to Hush with the bandages. So he's bandaged up. Essentially, looks like the Invisible Man, but we're doing kind of a twofold thing here. So first off, it's a bandaged face. That's big homage to Hush. Even with the leather kind of, I love this. Bruce is wearing the proto suit because remember he burned the mask. So symbolically, we were kind of built into this as well. So he burned the mask that Alfred made. Oh crap! Sorry. I'm jumping ahead to something. No, he hasn't burned the mask. He doesn't have the mask yet.
Yeah, you're burying the lead here, Dragon.
Well, I mean, no, you know, I mean, he has the point is, it's, forget it. He's in the proto gear. He's in the proto gear.
You're burying the lead here. There's something big that we need to talk about visually that you're kind of burying the lead on. So let's not waste any more time on it.
All right, so Bruce walking in his Invisible Man look. He enters a party at Wayne Manor, and it's a 1920s party. vaguely Schumacher-esque. And what do we see, Tiki? Lo and behold, we see the winning image of the episode. We see something that's been seasons in the making. We see an image I've been dying for.
We see Jim Gordon with a mustache.
Finally.
I mean, Dragon. I don't know. I think in a lot of ways this was intentional the whole time. Like, you know, at least the timing of like, let's have a big episode both for Bruce Wayne and for Gordon, and have it be you know, something where they both get a very visually distinct thing that comes around with their character.
Yeah, I mean, Ben McKenzie, he loves to kind of play. I get a sense that he loves to play it broad. Like again, when we had like Clayface Jim Gordon, and we have, and even in
Gordon,
yes, and even if you look at the animated film that kind of tied him in with Batman before this, he played Bruce Wayne in Batman Year One, the animated film, and when he was Bruce Wayne, he did like this he did this over the top like Playboy Bruce Wayne that was really funny.
mm-hmm.
So you get a sense that Ben McKenzie loves doing kind of this broad, kind of over the top kind of comedy, and we get to do that here, and we get to give Jim Gordon that mustache. And what do you think? I mean, it's a thinner mustache to fit the 1920s thing, but I mean, even with the thin mustache, you know, I like it.
You know what? I think they're kind of building to the thicker mustache look, Dragon.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I would hope they go with a thicker mustache, but I'm saying worst case scenario, even with the thin mustache, I mean, I'll take it. You know, it's.
Oh, I agree. I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get.
So I mean, seriously, this whole party scene, I love it. Like conceptually, it's fitting the whole Batman and Robin thing you were speaking of earlier. It does feel very Schumacher-esque. This party fitting in with the whole Poison Ivy of it all, and I love the 1920s theme, which would excuse a lot of kind of this classic imagery, and again, kind of fits more of that the direction I've always loved when the show goes into, a very kind of Scott Snyder history of Gotham angle with it.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of that 20 setting. We have Jim with Babs, and like Babs is dressed like a flapper. It's again, this is something like I would love to you or I would put in one of our pitches for like a dream sequence. You know, it's
yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. You're right about that.
Yeah, because they're having essentially it's a hedonistic party. It's like a hedonist of Gotham party. The elite of Gotham are hanging out this party, and they're all over the top and everything, and no one believes that he's Bruce Wayne because he's all wrapped up in the bandages, and the bandage has kind of this window around the mask, looking very kind of ski mask-esque. So let's see. So Bruce and Lee, the quote unquote real Bruce Wayne, you know, he's laughing it up with Lee. Lee's dressed essentially like King Tut.
God.
And
their old sport. It's Italian velvet.
We have Penguin in a top hat and with the cigarette holder.
Yes.
This is great. Again, we're doing so much classic stuff here. It fits under this great 1920s party excuse. It's wonderful. It's Ben McKenzie's looks like you cut yourself shaving, old man. It's like we have Robin Lord Taylor saying, "Oh, aren't you the cat's pajamas?" You know, it's like it's ridiculous. It's fun. So, really what this dream boils down to, the whole Bruce Wayne of it all is, again, aside from our vague hush illusions, again, Bruce is dressed in the proto-Batman gear, like the bulletproof suit and everything. So, we have the wrapped-up proto-Bruce, which is the vigilante Bruce, versus the playboy Bruce Wayne. And this is Bruce looking for his identity. He's not feeling complete, hence the missing face. And he's saying, "Give me back my face." Very Watchmen-esque, by the way.
Right.
And Bruce saying, "I think someone here's had too much gin." And I love this moment where where Playboy Bruce Wayne, who's definitely in control from the last couple episodes, he shoves Proto Bruce and Proto Batman, shoves Proto Batman, and basically the bandage disappears. It's like the prototype gear just hits the floor because again he's abandoned that guy. He just hits the floor. And all it remains is, is Playboy Bruce Wayne, that mask, that facade that is not the real Bruce, that we, the audience, know is not the real Bruce. I mean, a lot of cool levels to it all here. And then, of course, what shows up, Tiki?
A fake Alfred.
Who's portraying this fake Alfred?
You know what? Why don't you tell them?
Harvey Bullock.
Oh, God.
Harvey Bullock with a British accent holding a chicken.
It's so ridiculous, Dragon. I love that it could just be Donald Logue in another role. You know what I mean?
Yeah. This is so funny. It's so random. Why on earth would it? I guess because he knows that Bullock and Alfred are friends. Maybe that's why. It's the only logic I can come up with.
Oh god.
So so again, last thing on the sequence, on the dream sequence here is that again, so it's the idea that Bruce is he's retreating in his denial and his cowardice. You know, and deep down, he knows it. So he knows that all he's left with now is this Bruce Wayne. That's why he's like villainizing kind of this playboy Bruce Wayne. You can see the guilt is slowly kind of hitting this playboy Bruce slowly.
Hmm.
That's good. Okay, so oh boy, here we go. So from
I
one
mean,
funny,
from one insane scene to another, am I right?
yes. Okay, so on this episode, by the way, I'm going to get into some stuff I'm waiting to say since the break that I've been doing some research into Gotham. So, Ivy got to the GCPD with her perfume, with her mind-controlled Purple Man perfume, and we have a hilariously infatuated GCPD. So we're just we
Alvarez
have
plus Ivy.
so Alvarez. I want to say something about Alvarez. I learned this about Alvarez and it's blew my mind. We never really talked this. Alvarez we mentioned before, but Alvarez is played by I believe J.W. Cortez, and he in real life is actually he was a Marine and he's a real life cop. That's his day job while he's
Oh
doing the
wow.
show. He is a New York cop, and they shoot in New York, so it's local.
Huh. Okay.
So yeah, Alvarez, and they've kept him around. Alvarez was he's in the New 52. That's why that's where they pulled Alvarez from. I knew it was familiar, and I found that out
Alvarez has
recently.
always been like at first he was just kind of like a name in the background, but I feel like throughout season 3 and 4 they've really kind of given him his own personality slowly but surely.
It's got to be they like that actor. It's got to be they like the like again the history, and he actually has spoken at Comic Cons about PTSD and cons because being in the war, he's definitely kind of dealt with that sort of thing. So he's a really Ron Hero is a really nice guy. He sounds like a really nice guy. Anyway, so yeah,
And
we have hilarity.
I love
Sorry?
that Harper is kind of leading the fan club on Ivy.
Oh yes, again Harper's just kind of the lay of the land while Alvarez is like writing like a Ivy and Alvarez sitting in a tree. He's like writing that like little hearts like Alvarez plus Ivy's. He is a schoolboy's crush on her. It's hysterical. As Harper is like
Ivy's a psycho.
Jim has said the wrong words as he's walked into that station. This is hilarious.
I think she's the coolest.
I remember that cop, the large cop who says Ivy's the best. He's the one that Jim Gordon was like shoving in the beginning of season 2, and they kept that guy around too.
Like what I just love that they're all basically like they're kind of like middle school girls infatuated with a boy band or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like Harper's
the vernacular they're using.
It's like Harper leads the fan club, and the rest of them are very infatuated members of said fan club.
But Ivy's awesome.
So I love this. Again, Ben McKenzie. I love when Ben McKenzie can play comedy like this, play the straight man in comedy like this, where he says, "Put a pin in that, Harper. We'll be right back." And some more hilarity with the pairing of because Selena summarizes, "Oh, Molly Ivy got here before us." Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. This is what she's doing. So they excuse themselves. Meanwhile, Nigma, that guy.
Yes, Nigma is there to gloat.
Yes, he's there to gloat, and we reveal in this scene that the Riddler ego is helping Penguin escape.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I love that. Ed's just kind of there to show off, and he doesn't. And I love that Penguin can sense that, hey, you're here for another reason. And again, we reveal with a little origami riddle that, hey, subconsciously the ego that I dare not speak his name, the ego, he's helping me. That means something. Ed's back, and the other person I was working against him. Oh, goody.
God.
Oh yeah.
I just love Robin Lord Taylor's desperation to get like any sort of positive happiness out of his situation, like any gleam of positivity.
And I love that the Enigma's point of gloating says, I have a purpose and I have friends. And I like that point about having friends. I think that gives I think that's gonna give Penguin like an inkling of where he's going to go in the next couple episodes. Like, I have friends, and maybe I should kind of dive into said friendships, even with Jerome, perhaps.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, continuing forward. Yeah, so Jim finds the recording. They kind of go into the Emmys kind of room, and they find Lucius's recording, and they get the Kane Park. Kane Park. They get the lead there, Kane. The GCPD then enter the room. Sorry, the GCPD enter the room to defend Ivy's honor. For Jim called her a psycho.
We're talking, and we just didn't like the way you were talking about Ivy.
And Mackenzie's comedy in this scene, I love how he and Selena are playing this off with each other. They're playing it off so wonderfully here. He's playing nice, and he's
Psycho is a term of endearment.
Yeah, so we give him this rare pairing pays off so much. He's like saying to Selena, "Yeah, what isn't that right, Selena?" And Selena says, "Oh yes, I wish I could, I could be Ivy." And just Jim's whispering to her, "You're not selling it." And then just Harper saying, "And you are." It's hysterical. We do. I always love this as a go-to move. I love always using the fire extinguisher when we can an action thing. So he grabs the fire extinguisher. He kind of doesn't want to hurt anybody, so just kind of blows him back as he kind of blockades the door as Selena gets away. Meanwhile, Penguin is seemingly, emphasis on seemingly, Penguin is seemingly abducted.
Yes.
To a sudden death round of "Make me laugh," and again, this is the big scene where it comes to fruition. You got Jerome all confident, with his suspenders, his gloves, and in the end game hair, and he realizes it's he realizes it's Dietrich as Penguin's not really moving, he unmasking it, Dietrich, and so again, I'm not over the moon about it, but I will respect that at least it had a payoff, had a purpose. It wasn't just there for the gross out sake. That he
did we have to mention the poop?
He didn't have to, but that's you're right about that.
That's my question to you, Dragon. I hate to even bring it up.
I'll tell you. You know why we had that? I'll bet you why. I have no proof of this. I'm just going to bet you why we had that. Cameron Monaghan has said, he's gone on record in the past of saying, he kind of does get into a rhythm when he plays Jerome. I'm not saying he goes method or anything, but he does kind of try to stay in character. So he does riff and improv a lot as Jerome.
All right.
And that's probably what happened. He was just probably like saying disturbing things. Like that scene Marina Baccarin in last season, he definitely riffed and creeped her out when he was doing that stuff. So that's, he kind of did that. Probably did that here with we had to force the poop there.
Mm.
So Penguin basically he electrocutes Dietrich. He electrocutes the Dietrich who was relieved himself involuntarily. Again, cheap joke, but cheap joke with purpose for a better joke. So the better joke is that Penguin has done one of his classic kind of surprise kills, and we know Penguin for doing that sort of thing. And Penguin, for a moment, I think, is like, hey, maybe this will impress him. Like, I got my vigor back, and like, hey, look at that, surprise, huh? And Jerome has the great line, and this is what kind of makes it a little better, is where he says, just Jerome he's mildly amused. Well, that's clever, I guess. And this is the fourth wall awareness. And this is the fourth wall awareness right here. This has got to be the fourth wall awareness of him just saying, "Oh yeah, that wasn't your best stuff in the writing, was it?" So you treated that like it was a big thing, really. You just killed a guy, with his own urine. That's about it. So then we have just again some fun, just kind of absurdity here, where Penguin he pulls the spork. He says, "And that's a spoon." I just love the way. I think the Tick would appreciate the way Jerome delivered that line. Just that's a spoon, but it's also a fork.
God. Oh, we need to have a spork scene in season 2 of the Tick.
Well, I want a spoon before I get a spork, Tiki. We'll get to the finessing of the spork. We need spoons.
All right.
Anyway, so Jerome's bored. And he says, "Okay, lobotomize the little bird." So then, this is a fun scene. This is where these two I think play off each other the best right here. So, Penguin impresses Jerome with the mime routine. Basically, you said I was trapped in a prison, which means I'm safe because it's in his own mind. This is kind of like a Killing Joke reference to a degree, where it's sort of like it's an absurd joke that tickles. That would tickle the Joker pink. So that's kind of what we're doing here with that. So they have Jerome and Penguin have I'm sorry, do you want to take us through any of this?
Yeah, sure. Jerome and Penguin kind of get into a fisticuffs fight. Oswald kind of gets the upper hand, and Oswald just kind of yells at him, like, "Try laughing now, you ginger sap." And of course, Dragon, in true Joker style, when the cards are down for the Joker is when life seems the most funny, and he just goes off on it. He's like, "See, I told you I'd cure you. One more.
kicks him in the face. So I mean, yeah, this whole sequence. I mean, just I love the whole pantomime of it all. I love that he's like, there's a lot of tension. He pulls out like a
Really
big,
good physical comedy between the two.
like, he pulls out a knife and he's trying to stab him, and then there's like a box in the way, and he says, "Hey, go around back," and like, he bumps his, like, he's in these, he's committed to it because he's nuts. And yeah, it's the senseless violence, and I love the pause of, like, you know, oh, just like, aha, and it's just like you're waiting. There's a deafening silence, like, do we laugh? Of course, when Jerome laughs, brings down the house.
All right.
Okay. Oh boy, here's my favorite. Okay, so Jim directs. God, we're back in Bruce's hallucination here. This is beautiful. This little moment here, and this to me is like one of my wish fulfillment things here. I hope we're gonna do like a literal version of this by the end of the series. Jim, he directs Bruce's attention to the signal lights outside, and I love how we're kind of foreshadowing that. Like, hey, look, direct him to the signal lights outside. Now, it's not a bat signal, but it's still, there are lights outside that come from signals.
Yeah, it's
And
just all these, like you said, the pipelines of the plot kind of coming together.
oh yeah, and he warns that, you know, he's going to find you eventually. And I like that. If you wanted to kind of read into it, it's that, you know, Jim Gordon has been, again, who's going to be very pivotal down the line. That basically Bruce is putting trust in Jim Gordon to spell out what his arc is going to be here, and that's kind of why he's like, okay, I can trust Jim Gordon, which down the line will be, that's why on some level I can trust Jim Gordon as Batman.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you know, he's going to find you eventually, and of course, who's going to be kind of the very hands-on conscience for Bruce Wayne? It's Commando Alfred.
Well, hold on. Gordon pulls a bad exit on Bruce.
Oh yeah, you're right, he does.
Very
Yes.
important.
Yes, that is. Oh boy, that is great.
But yes, that's Special Agent Pennyworth to you, you scumbag.
God. So again, so he's been abducted by Alfred, and we're gonna check back in with that. Meanwhile, Project M is in Ivy's possession. We learn that Project M is Lazarus water. So, you know, the Lazarus water that Bruce used to revive Alfred, he kind of took a sample of it to kind of look into it.
And because Ivy knows this, I'm afraid she'll have to die. I'm sorry.
I didn't know you loved that line so much.
Oh,
I knew you.
I
I
love
knew
it.
you liked it. I didn't know you loved it.
It's not the line that I love. It's the random scream afterwards.
His scream or her scream?
His scream. He's just like, I'm afraid you'll have to die. Ah!
God. Okay, anyway, so she learns that this Lazarus water, it actually does the opposite of killing plants, which is from the book, by the way. That's how Lazarus Pit works. You know, the idea is like Ra's al Ghul could flood the land, it would kill would kill the living people, it would heal the sick, and it wouldn't harm the planet. Like, Ra's al Ghul is also an eco-terrorist to a degree, so he would also never want to harm the planet.
Ra's al Ghul is an eco-terrorist in like an Ozymandias kind of level.
Yes. Well, certainly, yeah, there's definitely a bit like he would never want to do anything. He would value kind of the longevity. It's like he's more longevity over where Ivy is purely the ecosystem. Ra's al Ghul is the ecosystem in terms of like functionality.
Right.
So she learns, okay, this Lazarus Pit definitely holds, this Lazarus water definitely holds some potential. I wish I knew why they called it Project M. Why M? Why not Project L?
Because M sounds cooler. I don't know.
Anyway, okay. So Bruce is worse for wear outside. He's turning green, all rotty, and it's like, oh boy, Bruce Wayne is in definite trouble here. And then we're back on the inside. We have a huge moment here. We have two huge moments left in this fantasy, folks. And again, it keeps getting better and better, this fantasy, and I love it. So we're inside.
So Alfred, it's revealed that Alfred's boss is none other than Proto Batman.
Now, I have a few things here, and you're going to love this, Steve. We do have some payoff to some stuff, and I'm sure is going to delight you. So, I call this persona the Cape Crusader version. I call this the Cape Crusader, not Batman per se, because it doesn't have the bat ears, doesn't have the bat gimmick, but he does have a cape. So let's just say it's Cape Crusader.
Okay, I can go with that.
So, we have some Phantasm references in this episode. And I'm not just saying like it's Phantasm. I'm saying they're very, very. When you see Phantasm Tiki, I think you're going to see some direct kind of imagery we pull from that here and there. And I did look into something, and I'm waiting over the break to tell you this.
Okay.
Uh, uh, if in case anyone like doesn't know, when I went to the Baltimore Comic Con, I had the pleasure of meeting David Mazouz, and I gave him a copy of Batman: Mask of the Phantasm on DVD, and he had not seen it. He told me he had not seen it, and I wrote him like a little fan letter and everything, basically a thank you of Ski Mask Bruce Wayne, the ending of season 3. And importantly, I referenced it Ski Mask Bruce Wayne. Now, a lot of people have coined it as a shorthand, but I directly wrote down Ski Mask Bruce Wayne, or I'm sorry, not Ski Mask Bruce Wayne, Ski Mask Vigilante.
Uh-huh.
And I looked, I kind of combed through his Twitter, just out of curiosity, when Gotham's coming back from the break, and I noticed the week after I gave that to him, that letter and that movie to him, he posted like an image of like the Ski Mask Vigilante Bruce, and he wrote down Ski Mask Vigilante,
Oh, nice, nice.
implying that at least he definitely he read through the thing, which hopefully would imply that he watched Mask of the Phantasm.
Hmm.
So we'll see. I mean, Tiki and I have been kind of looking
I
at it
love
for like,
when
hey,
celebrity fan interactions, like, go that way.
yeah, I mean, again, it's really. Again, I hope for his own benefit he enjoys Phantasm. It makes it. I doubt that like would directly correlate into the writing of this season, but I'm just saying like we have some Phantasm references here, and it fits really nicely. And I would hope that maybe.
Well, I'm more interested to see if it correlates into his performance at all.
Sure, sure, and again, like in the second half, that's the stuff to look out for because it would have shot like during that break.
Hmm.
So anyway. Let's see. Okay, what was I? Oh yeah, so Cape Crusader and this whole idea of we're in Crime Alley. So Alfred drops Bruce off in Crime Alley, and he's wondering what the heck's going on here. And we have a dual reference of this whole idea of in a dream sequence, in a dreamlike setting, seeing your future self. That's an idea that stems from Bane, believe it or not. That Bane, when he was dying in his origin as a kid, he was like he kind of was really severely hurt, almost died. He saw a future vision of himself and like his fear, which is bats. Emphasis on his future self. So we kind of pull that idea here, where Bruce is kind of getting a glimpse of his future self, which is basically the proto, the vigil, the proto Batman
Batman.
with a Cape Crusader.
Hmm.
And that look, by the way, is something you will see definitely referenced in. I'll say this: you see a reference of this in Phantasm, that Cape Crusader look on Batman, particularly when we get to the sequence later on. I'm just going to say that much about it. So we're in Crime Alley. I love that the Batman is in shadow here. From what I could tell, and again, it's all in black, so you can't really see this, but I like to think the face. I think it's faceless. I think that's why he looks all black, because it's like an empty face
Well,
hole.
Dragon, you know who the face is, right?
Of course. But seriously, I like to think that there's reasons all black is because we have like the faceless, like the cut off face thing, and it's a costume without a guy in it. I think that's why it's all black, and that's kind of a cool idea. It's my 2 cents on it. So, Bruce is standing in this spotlight in Crime Alley with the chalk outlines of his dead parents, and he looks up, and very much like Selina was in the pilot episode, like he's perched, like the Cape Crusader is perched on the fire escape, overlooking him. It's a wonderfully composed shot, and he's saying, "Oh God, love me, oh, it's so good." Where he says, in the overhead shot and the lighting and everything, he says, "This is where my parents died," and then the line we hear, and I'm pretty sure this is David Mazouz, but he's super pitched down. Like I'm pretty sure this is him, but they messed with the voice. I'm pretty sure. He says, "No, this is where I was born." Oh God, it's so perfect.
And then he just jumps right onto Bruce, and
We're gonna see where that leads. Oh boy. So I love this idea that with the Cape Crusader, I love that Bruce, that Batman, this future, this Cape Crusader Batman is angry with Bruce. I love that he's angry with Bruce for killing Ra's al Ghul. I love that he has. This is the perfect visual of him not letting it slide. It's like a Batman who's never going to forgive himself for killing someone. The idea that the Batman persona he is never going to let Bruce Wayne forget this, and that's why he's kind of getting a vision of it. That's what's compelling the Batman in the first place. That's a cool reinvention of a Batman, I'll tell you.
I also really like that the Batman persona kind of weaponizes Crime Alley.
Yeah, yeah, he's it's cool that he's using fear. It's like that fear, like the fear that he's facing from the Caped Crusader, from the image that's going to spawn from the Caped Crusader, kind of vision of the future here. That fear is what's going to reinforce his no killing rule. It's going to reinforce kind of how Batman operates. But again, I love that Batman kind of no one influences Batman but Batman. That's kind of a cool thing to factor in there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, more on that momentarily. So Ivy
Yes, yes.
holding Lucius hostage.
Oh god, I'm sorry, Jad. My notes are not very specific here.
So Ivy's holding Lucius hostage, and we see she's in dialogue. Oh boy, we've come a long way from season one, haven't we?
Oh yeah, it's very bizarre. I mean, it's like I don't know with the Ivy thing. I don't even know what to make of it at this point. I just kind of consider every actress its own iteration of the character. I can't even really track it as one flowing character.
So Jim shows up and she warns Jim that Bruce Wayne will die, and this explains like I don't know if she's just using this on the fly just to kind of help her out. Like again, she was kind of like a slow death on Bruce Wayne. I would maybe she planned on it being like a insurance thing. Well, you know what? I'll kill him slow, so just in case they could try to save him, and that would buy me an escape if I need it.
Hmm.
Yeah. Because she needed Lucius Fox regardless. So she knew she was going to kidnap Lucius Fox. So that stands to the reason she would have like maybe an exit strategy in place. So Bruce is the insurance. And she knew Jim Gordon was going to show up because he's on her case and he kind of is going to be confronting her a few times. So we have this great comedy with a love-struck Lucius in the scene that is brilliant. When love like Jim saying, "Lucius, you all right?" Jim, I'm with my favorite person in the world. I'm doing great.
I'm with one of my favorite people, Jim. I've never been better.
That's what I'm saying. Chris Jockey's nailing this episode so well, and then we have two. So again, Ivy gets away and she puts like the cure in Lucius's pocket, so Jim won't follow her. And Lucius like giving her some excess time to leave, and he says, Lucius, come on, come on. He says, oh, I'm gonna wait till she's from a safer distance away. Like Lucius, don't make me hit you. You can try, Jim, but I'll warn you, I'm a trained black belt. He says, when did that happen? Night classes. And he just punches him in the face.
Punches him in the face, knocks some sense into him, and it's like, oh, shoot, okay, I'm back.
I love, again, the Jim Gordon solution to everything. Punch in the face. It works wonders.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay,
right.
so...
walks into a cave, but not just any cave.
It's the Batcave.
Batcave.
So again, now look, I know we technically have the Batcave now, but this is different, darn it. So I mean, yes, we've established the Batcave. So yes, I know that was technically, if you really look at it, we've always had kind of like Bruce Wayne falling down the cave. That was always just the end of season one when he has the Batcave and he discovers it. But still, we haven't quite had the big Omen moment. That's important though. We still haven't gotten the Omen moment, which we very much allude to here. So here's a great bit. So he's asking for help, and again, we're very much referencing that big moment where Bruce, from Dark Knight Returns, he falls down the cave, and he's the helpless kid who's calling for help, which we've seen very much brought to light in Schumacher, in Batman and Batman Begins, and Dark Knight Returns. So, and well, also Batman vs Superman. So he's asking for help. And then again, the intimidating Caped Crusader. And I love that this fear is reinforcing the no killing rule. Like Bruce is always in perpetual penance, because of this. And it's a brilliant idea where he says, and he says it with this line here: "You cannot escape." Basically, he realizes you're me. You're me. He says, "I cannot. You can't escape me. You can't escape or kill me. You're afraid. You should be." And again, that whole "you can't kill me," that's directly saying, hey, you killed someone. I'm not going to let that happen again. You and me are working together. And after he says "you should be," he leaps towards him, and as he leaps towards him, he splits apart. And again, this is very much a Phantasm reference to the music we have in Mask of the Phantasm when we do this. As he leaps towards him, he splits into bats that are kind of charging towards Bruce. Bruce is in terror. He's afraid and he's shouting as he's being attacked by bats. And I love that it lasts for like however long it lasts. It is. I love how abruptly we cut from it. Like we're tantalized and like bats. He's finally seen the omen. But again, does it take? Has he committed to it? You don't know because like 2 seconds.
Did she get off the plane? Did she get off the plane?
But again, with the second we get that, like we don't know if it sinks in because we snap back. I love the edit on this. Jim Gordon saved his life again in the cure, and he snaps out at Bruce. Bruce, you're all right. You're with us now. Oh my god, I love that.
Yeah, really
like
good.
So I love that the pieces are in place with this. Now, again, whether or not we're going to fully commit to like this could be it. This could be a big allusion to what we're going to get by the end of the season. I still hold the theory true that we're going to get Scarecrow giving him the big bad omen. I think the fear gas is going to give him more of a bad omen. But even if we didn't, I still think this might be enough.
Yeah, we'll see.
Oh, yeah, certainly. So, Bruce wakes up, and we have this lovely scene of aftermath between Jim and Bruce. And again, they had a nice scene in the hallucination. This is a really lovely, really well-performed scene here. So, they're speaking of the aftermath of the hallucination. And again, I love the experience that both of these guys have been through this. So Jim Gordon is absolutely the guy who can relate to Bruce on this. Bruce says, he saw his own darkness, and Jim says, well, so have I. I've seen my own darkness. And again, he's seeing that now, and he's seen it time and time before. And then basically Bruce.
I got it.
Oh, sure, go on.
Yeah, so importantly, Jim wants to give him the message that, Bruce has people around him who care about him. He has a support system, so he doesn't have to go at it alone. And, that's very true. And it's very much a lesson that Bruce needed to learn throughout these past couple episodes. The one disappointment that I have with Bruce's arc, Dragon, is that I wish we got a little bit more Tommy Elliott in this learning curve. Like, I wish that Tommy Elliott was somehow a little bit more involved. But, I'll take a little less Tommy Elliott for this crazy dream sequence any day, because I think they did about as good as they could have.
I'm going to say this, though. I wouldn't count Tommy Elliott out because, again, I'm not saying they're going to do this, but there's always a chance that because we committed so hard to the Playboy Bruce Wayne arc when he was really going hard into the party boy stuff, and we had Tommy Elliott there, it stands to reason that next time we check in with Tommy Elliott, he'll start to form a grudge with Bruce, like, hey, what happened to my old buddy who was like my party boy buddy?
Right.
So there's a chance we could still go that direction, like have a grudge or like have a jealousy, like, oh, Bruce Wayne thinks he's better than all of us now, right? You think you're better than me, Wayne?
And then of course, Bruce has to get the line in, when I saw you, when I was under it, I saw you, you had a mustache.
And Gordon's line is, that must have been one dangerous toxin. Oh my god, it's great. And again, I just take it, honestly, the way I want it to go is, I think the way it should go is, no, I'm always for an early mustache, but a part of me would respect it if they ended, I still want the show to end on a rooftop scene between Gordon, and like the very last second we'd reveal Batman. Like, we have him in shadow, then maybe he steps out for a moment, or even we just keep him in silhouette as Gordon lights the bat signal. And I want the reveal of the mustache to be in that moment. I want the full mustache, like the full, like that's for me. I kind of want the series then. I kind of want to pay off that mustache moment, because again, he seems really against the mustache right now, but years later, it'll be cut to years later on this rooftop scene at the very end of the series. Mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so of course Bruce kind of shamefully calls Alfred, just says he needs his help.
Good music, by the way, in that scene.
Meanwhile, back at the GCPD, Harper, they're not hypnotized, just embarrassed.
Yeah, Jim says all is fine. They're looking for Ivy, put a APB out on her.
She's the top priority, yeah.
Sophia calls, and it's like, hey, more good news for Jim Gordon. So Sophia calls, and she says, essentially, I was thinking about what you said. So, okay, so we're finally like an understanding. She says, no, I called to tell you there are other ways to hurt you. I'm going to find other ways to hurt you. Which, oh boy, that's Sophia Falcone. She is not messing around this season. She's a really good villain we've had this season. I will say that much.
Yeah, she's a formidable foe for sure.
So let's see. So then we reveal as she's going to call to say that she returns to the other room, and she's sitting down with her favorite sister-in-law. It's Lee.
God.
Like, how
I'm
could I
not sure how
refuse?
I feel about this dragon, honestly.
Well, why I want to give anything away? Let's just say though,
Fair enough. Fair enough.
yeah. So you'll see how it goes. Anyway, so we end. Okay, next we have a scene in Arkham. Jerome and Penguin, they're having a little chat. He's asking Penguin's asking the age-old question: why not escape?
Hmm.
Again, like you have a lay of the land here. Why not? Why not escape? And he figures, oh, you're planning something spectacular, aren't you?
Then
And
he's saying, he's in the funny farm because he needs to find the creme de la crazy, which I think is why I need you.
oh yeah, he wants to make. And again, this you're right here in that this very much is akin to like something like Arkham City in terms of an idea of like he wants to make the outside of Arkham. Basically, he wants to make Gotham crazy and work like Arkham Asylum, where he has the lay of the land on the inside of Arkham. Wants to make the rest of the city like that, where people are raving lunatics, and he's the king of the lunatics. That's what Jerome wants.
Right.
And Penguin turns him down, and we have this really great. I love how this is framed. Where again, Jerome with these gloves on, very Joker-esque. He's coming up behind him, and he's like plops him on the shoulder, and he says, "Oh, you'll come around. They all do." Penguin very insistently saying, "Nope," as he defiantly licks and seals an envelope sent to the Riddler, addressed to Edward Nigma. And let's see. So then we believe after that we
Ivy's experimenting with the Lazarus water.
yes, basically infuses her own kind of poison blood with the Lazarus water, which creates a new plant. A new plant essentially is like a spore, like a pollen that basically the couple that she basically turned the couple that went away for vacation. And she turned their home into like a little lab where she was like eating the ice cream, being all kind of sweaty and stuff. And they returned and was like, "Hey, what are you doing in my house? Get out of here!" And she blows on the plant, and like the spores or like the seeds uh, coat them. And what this new Lazarus plant hybrid does is it's instant plant death.
It's in a very chest burster alien type fashion.
Exactly, it's a perfect analogy. Yes,
Uh-huh. Oh, friends, you're all so beautiful.
that's where the episode ends.
Yeah. All right, final thoughts, Dragon. I'll get into it first. Yeah, this episode, I don't think it's perfectly plotted by any means. I think there's some conventions to it, and honestly, with the stuff at Arkham, it's not necessarily groundbreaking stuff in terms of like we've seen Penguin be mentally beaten down in Arkham before, so I hope we're going somewhere with that. But and of course I'm an episode behind you, so that's also a factor. But I had so much fun with this episode. I just think between the Bruce Wayne stuff, which is I feel like even more in line with what we wanted to get out of the labyrinth in the Court of Owls section of Gotham, and then of course the Ivy mind control stuff. I mean, let's face it, it's silly, it's stupid, but it's so in line with what this show is and the sense of humor and the sensibilities of it and just the goofy antics that this show can provide. So overall, it's weird to think that Jerome is probably the third most memorable thing about this episode, but I really think that the Bruce Wayne stuff gets nailed, and there's so much great foreshadowing and imagery in there. And then the Ivy stuff is just so fun. It's just, but it's straight up some of the most like laugh out loud, laugh out loud comedy we've ever had on the show for my money. I just think it's handled so well, especially with Lucius. And combine that, Dragon, I think, we're talking about an episode that has a really, really good Jerome subplot that is the third best thing in the episode. And I think that that's a sign of a really good episode right there.
Oh yeah. So I have a lot of love for this episode. Again, the Bruce Wayne stuff is definitely for me the biggest highlight. I mean, I get a lot of enjoyment out of it. It's kind of again, I don't think it's in terms of like forming the bad omen. That's going to be a big moment because again, that's something I really think we still need to kind of see. I don't. I'm still not 100% like getting the bat omen from just this moment alone. But I could. Again, I think the whole thing was just so well done. I could buy it just for like the quality of which we communicated Bruce's arc and just kind of had like it was very well directed. All those sequences they're very well directed. it's an impressive kind of reinvention of kind of the genesis of Batman, the psychology of Batman. I mean, I'm still super impressed. I'm really marveling at that. Again, I kind of hope it's not the final time we do that, but honestly, it was just so well done. I could accept it, at the end of the day. But again, looking beyond that, again, the episode, I got to echo a lot of Tiki's thoughts. It was really, it was a lot of fun with the Ivy stuff. Jerome was great. We do run the risk a little of repeating ourselves in kind of like Arkham being kind of like a one foot of the cuckoo's nest, crazy, dangerous setting. But again, with Jerome kind of having the lay of the land, I think we spice that up a little. Again, we had a few cheap jokes here and there, but again, even with that, we kind of did the best we could with them, and it's again, I think it's like a very what main thing I'm going to hit is like last episode was really disappointing in terms of we go on break and we come back to an episode that's all filler and kind of build up for this, and nothing really
bait and switch.
That's what I'm saying. This episode, absolutely. There's no reason this episode shouldn't have been the episode we came back to. It really should have been the episode we came back to and would have really satisfied me. It's like, when I was watching this, I just felt like, my God, this really should have been. Why on earth did we not come back to this? People were hyped for Jerome. We had like that kind of creepy Bruce Wayne imagery of like the removed face and wondering where the heck that was going. And
mustache.
Exactly. I mean, that wasn't the promo, but I mean, my God, yes, it was fantastic. So that's what I'm saying. Like, this episode absolutely should have. It was the point is, I'm very satisfied and happy with this episode. I was delighted by it, and it may not be like we got to review the episodes. Of course, we got some. From what I understand, we got some good ones coming too. I don't know if it's going to be the best one of the season, but it was really really entertaining, really fun. So I very much enjoyed it.
All right, take us out, Dragon.
So remember, kids, no matter how dark and scary the world may be right now, there will be light. There will be light and mustaches.
Until next time when we go exploring Gotham yet again. The boys and I were talking, and we don't like the way you were talking about Ivy.